Welcome, my friends, to another video on the Conscious Strength channel. Now, in this rant, I want to discuss a narrative you often hear coming from the really hardcore, radical vegans. And that's the idea that eating meat is animal cruelty. You have to stop eating meat because we have to save the animals. And it's terrible and harmful and horrible. It's inhumane to eat meat. First of all, I am not a meatitarian, I'm not a vegetarian. I think it's an issue when we get into these cult-like mentalities with diets. A diet is like a tool. Different tools for different jobs, different diet depending on different situations. I like to eat meat. I like to eat meat a lot. I don't eat meat every single day. Sometimes I don't even eat vegetables every single day. It just depends, right? That's a big, long, broad conversation, but just wanted to preface this conversation with that. Second thing is that there's a lot of meat that I do think is inhumane to eat. That is, and this is where I think this sort of very black and white idea of eating meat means animal cruelty. No. The kind of meat eating that is animal cruelty is eating meat from conventional farms, where you have the chickens or the cows all locked up in this big CAFO, confined animal farming operation. That's awful. When you get 1,000 cows on like a few acres of land or 10,000 chickens in one little building, they can't go outside, they're stuck in cages, they're eating slop, eating garbage GMO shit feed. Oh yeah, total animal cruelty, absolutely. That is where I agree with the radical vegans with, and that's the meat that not only do you not want to eat because it's not quality meat, toxins and poisons in the meat, lack of nutrition in the meat, and the animal cruelty. So no, the conventionally grown, conventionally farmed meat, bad. But it is not animal cruelty to eat meat that comes from happy cows treated well on good local small farms. I mean, just think about it. If I was a cow, hell yeah, I would want to live on one of those small, locally owned farming operations, eating grass, being protected in this pasture with a fence around, able to roam around on a bunch of acres of land, hanging out with my other cow friends and my cow family. How is that animal cruelty? Sounds like a pretty good gig too. And as long as the cow eats well, is treated well, has a good long life, and then has a humane death, what's the issue with that? I mean, just look out amongst the animal kingdom. Oh, it's animal cruelty to eat meat. Have you seen what like lions do and cheetahs and all kinds of animals? They freaking tear at each other's throat and they'll eat babies of other animals, and it's like, it's violent. It's freaking violent. Nature is violent sometimes and tragic like that. So is it inhumane? Talking about animals with human characteristics. Inhumane to eat meat if the cow or the chicken or the fish, if it's wild-caught fish, yeah, if it's fish that comes from a contained pen, fed GMO slop shit food and genetically engineered, or if the cows are pumped full of bovine growth hormone, that, not good, inhumane, sure, but if it's wild-caught fish, if it's happy chickens roaming about, living good long lives, the farmer takes care of these chickens, builds relationships with the cows, and a lot of these local farmers, it's tough on them, man. They don't want to give up their cows. It's sad, but they know that the cow's gonna go, so why not use its meat? That's actually sustainable, not just letting the cow go getting eaten by coyotes and half the carcass rots away. So not only is it sustainable, local, grass-fed, open-air farming operations where the animals are treated well and the farmer actually cares, not only is it sustainable, but it's also humane. So anyway, this whole vegan argument of animal cruelty, there's nuance to it. It's not a black and white issue. It depends on where the meat comes from. And in my opinion, we should not be buying meat from these conventionally grown giant agriculture companies. It's bad meat. The animals are treated terribly. It's also bad for the environment because who knows what kind of pesticides, or they're using GMO crops. So that's what's unsustainable. But if it's standard, well done, locally grass-fed farming operations, just like humans have been doing for thousands of years, right? It's only over the last 60, 70, 80 years that we've done these weird CAFO confined farming operations. But if it's what humans have been doing for thousands of years, raising sheep, raising flocks, tending to the herds, giving them good lives, and then if it's a humane death, I mean, what's the problem with that? So, few thoughts on that issue. Wanted to clear that up. And again, I don't think any diet is a one-size-fits-all, one-size-cures-all approach. A lot of different diets out there for different situations. But this whole vegan argument of meat bad, plants good. Well, okay. How many plants are you going to kill for your diet? You know, plants are living things too, right? And how are these plants treated in these agricultural operations that your food is sourced from? That's a question. And also, when all these plants are farmed to create your plant burger, how many animals die? How many rodents or birds or animals amongst the crops die to make your plant burgers? It goes both ways in this conversation, right? Oh, and there's probably more points I could make as well that just aren't coming to mind right now, but those are a few. And I think that's enough to refute this more or less senseless argument of eating meat automatically means animal cruelty, automatically means you're a terrible person. So, that's enough for this one. I think that argument has been thoroughly deconstructed.